Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. I'm Debra Eckerling, creator of the Deb Method for Goal Setting Simplified. I'm also the author of your goal guide and 52 secrets for goal setting and goal getting. You can't reach your goals on your own. You need your people. So every week I bring together some of my people. And this is I guess it's going to be our 4th or our 5th annual. Wait, I should have counted. This is our annual Giving GoalChat, and it's Thanksgiving week. You might be watching this live on Monday or listening to us. The podcast is released on Thursdays on the Marketing Podcast Network. If you're listening to this that day, happy Thanksgiving, but we'll just say happy Thanksgiving week. And it is the season for giving. So I rounded up some of my favorite bro philanthropists, very community-oriented friends. Actually, I've got a lot of friends in this way, but they all work in somehow have philanthropy as part of their DNA and their daily doings. So I'm really excited to have today's panel with me. You might be watching this as GoalChat Live. You might be watching the replay. You could be listening to us as GoalChat on the Marketing Podcast Network. No matter how you found us, we are so glad you're here this giving week, giving us your time so we can all geek out about the importance of giving. Yes, let's say that 3 times faster, or even better, why don't I just let my guests introduce themselves? So I think that's the smart place. So let's start with Rachel Berezin, and Rachel came through our friend Jessie Sierra Ross. Jessie is one of the secret givers in 52 Secrets, and she's like, you need to meet Rachel. And so Rachel, please share who you are and why you love the topic of giving.
Thank you so much. So my name is Rachel Berezin, and I have worked in the nonprofit space for nearly 2 decades, but I would say that I grew up with parents who role modeled giving to community. If they weren't home or at work, they were always volunteering and doing things to support our community, and they modeled that for us. And I like to say my dad is an ophthalmologist, and so for me, that work of cutting open eyeballs is really terrifying, but what he does is he gives people the gift of sight. And so for me, what I've always felt with philanthropy and this work is that you give people the gift of making their passions and dreams happen through philanthropy. So that's a little bit about me and why I love this work.
Wonderful. Well, I'm really happy to have you here, and I can't wait to dive in. Genna, your turn.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Genna Rosenberg. I have a company called GennComm, and I have been working in the toy industry for the last 30 years. This is actually my 30th anniversary. And right away, when I started working in the toy industry, originally doing public relations and marketing, now doing product invention and licensing as well. I got involved in corporate social responsibility. So helping toy companies and brand owners, like over the years, Care Bears and Ghostbusters and many more, to use their power to help others. And it really lights me up, and it's part of my personal passion. And now my family and I give in many, many different ways that we'll probably talk about today.
Wonderful. Well, happy to have you here. And I have to also share, so Genna and I have known each other for a few decades. We met shortly after I moved to LA, and I was working full-time in freelancing, and she would hold events, and if ever I couldn't come, my mom would stand in and do interviews, which was, I love that we have that awesome connection. And mom would love, where she's still around, she would just love the fact that we reconnected, and just really happy to have you, Miss Changemaker, in today's conversation.
Oh, thank you. And some of the earliest events that we worked on together, I don't know if you remember, were for organizations that helped others, like Gen Art Los Angeles, I Have a Dream Foundation, and the Leukemia Society. So I think our roots are really started in promoting, sharing out to the world of companies and organizations that were doing good and how others can get involved with that.
Yes, because it's not just about doing good. It's getting that enthusiasm for giving and doing good and gifting that to the world. Welcome. Great to see you.
Great to see you again, Debra.
Who are you?
Who am I? That's a great question. Tell me if you find out. No, I am here today as the founder and CEO of Food Forward, which is a nonprofit in Southern California, the largest fresh produce recovery and distribution organization in the region. And we do something called not philanthropy, but fruit-anthropy, which is the giving and receiving of produce and fresh fruit for humanitarian purposes. Basically, we are a pipeline of fresh, free produce to over 250 agencies in LA County, 12 surrounding counties, and an additional 6 states, and step in kind of in a nutrition and food access territory, kind of being a complement to what food banks do, but often do much more than food banks do because of the size and scale that we work. About 15 years ago, I was watching the current economy at that time, the Great Recession, crumble, seeing all this produce in my neighborhood go to waste while lines grew at food pantries. Sound familiar? Maybe a few weeks ago, right? And I said, well, wait a minute, this is crazy. This is produce that is all being given to us as a gift, and we're letting it waste, which was wrong on a human basis and on an environmental basis as well. And I'll talk more about that in a bit. But basically, with a few volunteers, we harvested 2 backyard fruit trees in my neighborhood, totaling about 800 pounds of fresh citrus, tangerines and oranges, and donated to a local pantry. It was just a super connect the dots, very, very simple equation. And over the course of these 17 years, our footprint and our work has scaled to the point where Food Forward supplies enough produce in a single day across the region to basically fulfill the nutritional needs of over 300,000 people every single day of the year. So that's who we are, and I am the proud founder and CEO of the organization.
You noticed I changed your label to fruit-anthropist.
I love
Have
it.
you used that before?
I do. We've trademarked the term. It's on many of our shirts, and it's one of those things that people, it kind of trips out of your mouth, but once you get it once or twice, it's kind of catchy, and it's a currency. To me, food has always been a currency of giving, and to be able to do that with healthy, fresh produce that would otherwise be lost or wasted makes it, exponentially better.
Well, and so you are basically regifting food.
Absolutely. So I am, around the time I started Food Forward, I also started going to Burning Man, and it is an interesting event that has got a lot of baggage attached to it. But one of the things it does have is it's based on a number of principles, kind of 10 principles. And one of them is that of gifting. And I think it was very, very clarifying for me to grasp onto the concept of gifting, because it's not an exchange. You're not bartering. I'm not giving you a pound of oranges so you can give me a pound of grapefruit, right? I am gifting you that food, as I might do any other number of things I might give you, for the sheer pleasure it brings me to give you something, to share something that I know will either nourish you or bring you joy or make your life easier, or any number of things. So the concept of gifting, as I've come to absorb it in my life, and as it is a value of Food Forward's mission and existence, is that we give it with no expectation. And we require, really, when we give it to these agencies that take the food the last mile, because we're really a B2B, a business to business organization. We supply agencies that then have their own distributions on site. We require that they have no barrier for access, which means you don't have to sit through a religious service. You do not have to pay a minimum donation. You do not have to show that you are a citizen or have any kind of documentation, and on and on. So that idea of gifting, which I love is the theme today, I think is often misunderstood, because people think, I'm going to gift you something. What do I get in return? And I think it's so much purer when it's an actual gift and there is nothing in exchange except that kind of internal joy we get from doing it.
And you've been on the show before, so you know toward the end of GoalChat, I asked my guests to gift a goal. And it's that same philosophy. It's like, what is something that is meaningful to you that by sharing it, it is a gift to the people around.
Right.
So it is the giving season, but it's also really, we're living in really cuckoo banana times right now.
That's a kind word.
That's a kind word. And bananas, no offense to the bananas, the pun was not intended at all. But I kind of love the whole tangent of what is giving to each of you. So Rick, your definition is giving without expecting to receive, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Genna, what about you?
I think it centers around bringing joy to others. When you give a gift to somebody, it's something that you will often bring them happiness. And so yeah, in my mind, the two of them are related.
Very intertwined, as it were. What about you, Rachel?
Mine is knowing somebody and what they love and what they're passionate about, and giving them something that will speak to that love and that passion.
Ooh, okay. So so you've been in Jewish philanthropy specifically for a very long time, right?
That's correct. Yes.
So is this something that's from your upbringing, or just in all the years of philanthropy-ing? I know that's not a word, but I make them up.
I think it's, well, I kind of like it. I think we should make it a word, philanthropying. And I think it's a mix of both. I think really philanthropy is all about relational engagement and making meaningful connections with people based on their passions. And so for me, it's been in this field, but I also have a passion in the theater world. So, and I would say that it very much rings true in that space as well. So really helping people to make their passions and their dreams happen through a gift.
Okay. And so Genna, how would you define philanthropying? Philanthropying. Yeah, that word.
Well, it's interesting. It's sort of a combination of what Rachel and Rick have said also is something that kind of inspires me, which is sort of recognizing a need and then acting on it to help others. So like how Rick mentioned, you had, sorry, I got the numbers wrong, 800 million pounds or something of
Well,
citrus.
you can just throw a bunch of zeros because I kind of that's what happens with it anyway.
1 billion pounds of citrus, but he partnered with organizations who could help him on the last mile. But you had this asset, you had stuff, right? And you noticed that there was a need, and so then your unique lens of seeing something that you could do to help the world. And I think that is something that, that's something that I really love to inspire people to do, is like, think about like stuff, whatever that stuff is. Like maybe it's, you're really good at theater, or you know how to help people publish their book, or whatever a need is. In my case, when I worked at the toy company, I noticed they had a lot of excess inventory. And so they had a lot of stuff. And then there is a big need because there are so many families who don't have money to buy toys. And so I was able to have access to, I'm being cute by saying like the stuff, but I guess I'm saying it that way because everyone has access to different things in their lives. And if you can notice a pathway of who might need the thing that you have access to, whether it's a skill or a service or a product, and then like love what Rick said of connecting with someone who could help distribute the goods. For me, that was the crucial thing that helped me philanthropying, was like having the whole pipeline of the thing, seeing the need, and then having partners who could help deliver it to people in need. So I think it's sort of a combination of having the idea and then having the vision that is really the key to being able to do that role.
That's great, Genna. The other thing I want to throw in here is that I think it helps, and it's probably something we all share, is coming to the world from a place of abundance rather than scarcity. And you may have an abundance of money, you may have an abundance of time, you may have an abundance of toys. In our case, it's an abundance of fruits and vegetables. And it's knowing that the glass isn't half full, the glass isn't half empty, the glass is actually overflowing. And the question is, how can we be an agent to direct that abundance to some place it's needed? And that, to me, is a joyful act. And it's one that also is, in this day and age, one of comes with a social imperative, that we need to do this. It's not just kind of fun if, maybe, kind of, sort of. But when you see what's going on out there, when you get in the streets, or you get to where a homeless encampment is, or you go to a food line and you just see the desperation, it's really hard to not be active and be one of those people who really is has that sense of sharing ingrained in your core values.
Okay. If you are listening, everybody is nodding. Rachel, anything you want to add about philanthropying?
Yes. So I wanted to say, Rick, I really love what you're saying about approaching the needs and the world with a culture of abundance rather than a culture of scarcity, because at these times, the needs in the world feel just so great and overwhelming. And really coming at it with a culture of abundance is so wonderful. And you talked about so many ways that we can approach that culture of abundance. And I think one other resource that we often forget is the power of connections. Maybe I can't help, but I know somebody else who can, or somebody else who can open that door and be a resource. So that's another piece I wanted to make sure we got in.
Ooh, absolutely. And I talk about that a lot. You've got your connections, but you also have your connectors,
Yeah.
of which I believe all four of us are, who are the people who know all the people who know the people. And as much of a resource, being a resource for resources and connecting resource is just as, if not more important. If you don't have the answer, but you know who does, that's gonna widen the circle. Or as I said at the top, you can't reach your goals on your own. You need your people. The more people in your circle, the more circles you are actually in. So there we go. Again, with the nodding. Yes, we are audio and video. Trust me, podcast people, everybody is, yes, this is my jam, helping people. Do you remember like your first philanthropic moment? What was the first thing where you're like, ooh, giving, that's cool? Anybody have any early philanthropy moments to share?
Well, I have two.
Okay.
One is from my earliest days, I used to volunteer at the Special Olympics, and I really enjoyed that. And, supporting people with disabilities is still dear to my heart today. And then the other is I started the environmental club at my middle school and continued it into the high school. And I called it Pride, Preserve, Recycle, and Inhibit the Destruction of Our Earth. And I remember it was like the first time the school was really doing recycling. And I guess it sort of set me on a path of, I recently thought to myself, was sustainability one of my things? And then I realized, like, I worked at a big toy company and I started their, recycling program and encouraging them to do those things. So, if I think back, it was from when I was a young child that sort of started me on the path of, being an environmentalist, I guess. Accidental.
Accidental, but at our core,
Casual.
we are the people. I mean, I will tell you, I remember early on, my mom would bring me to do arts and crafts at the senior center back when I was growing up. And that's, That's the thing I remember. I was raised that way, where you would do in the act of giving. Time is also an act of giving.
Yeah.
So
I have a couple that I'd be happy to share. So one is, and it's so funny, this really turned into my career. When I was 9 years old, my mom brought me to our local Jewish Federation, which is an organization that helps both the Jewish community locally and also globally. And it was an event called Super Sunday, which is a phone-a-thon. And they taught us about the needs, and they taught us basically how to cold call. And I thought it was so much fun to call strangers and build relationships over the phone and tell them about why what we were doing mattered. It was invigorating and exciting. And I couldn't have imagined that 9-year-old me would have built my career then from these early ages. And then the other thing, back to what Rick said earlier about finding a need in the world, I think so many of us in this field are here because we've seen needs that need to be addressed. And I remember when I was younger, we used to have a lot of walks in in conservation lands and see all the wildlife. And in our community, the beavers were causing a lot of flooding. And so they decided, I don't know who they were, but they decided that they were going to kill the beavers. And I was in 7th grade, and I thought that that was terrible. So these animals are inconvenient. So now we're going to kill them. And so I did some research and I wrote a petition, and I went to all of our neighbors and my parents' friends, and I made announcements at lunchtime all day long to get people to sign this petition. And ultimately, I worked with our town environmental committee, and we were able to relocate the beavers instead of killing them. So it's interesting as we're talking about how some of these early moments are very defining and lead us on these paths to these careers.
that's awesome. What about you, Rick? Do you have
Yeah, I will credit my dad. He was part of a chapter of B'nai B'rith, which was a kind of a men's group that did activities to do good in underserved communities. And one of the things they did on a weekend was they bought out, I remember it was like maybe in West LA, they bought out a movie theater. And then they would bring a few buses from underserved communities to do like a day of movies, free movies and concessions and all that for the youth. And my dad and his crew and I came along on this day, worked behind the concession counter, scooping popcorn, giving out candy, stuff like that. And I'm not a tall guy now, but I was even shorter then. I was probably like, I don't know, 4 foot, whatever. And my eye was just eye level with the popcorn, this huge trough, which I'd never seen from behind, right? You've always see it from the customer side. And I remember like a few of these guys picking me up and holding me up over this trough of popcorn, which I could have disappeared into like a giant ball. And between the smell of that and the excitement in the kids' voices and just the sense of everyone kind of really having fun that day, it just left a really great impression of what can happen when a group of people come together to do something that's inspired. And again, it doesn't have to be, an earth-shattering thing. Again, just in our case, it's in Food Forward, it was sharing an orange with someone, but in that orange, there's so much symbolism and there's such an act of empathy. And again, in the world we live in now, empathy is such a commodity. It's such a short, has such a short shelf life to it, that to me, every piece of fruit and every vegetable we pass along is a piece of empathy. And if we can harness that and nurture that and lean into that, I think that's what it's all about.
I feel like in addition to making philanthropy a word, we should make a fun-lanthropy a word, because when you're putting the joy into it, there's even more benefit. I mean, it's one thing doing good for people, but when you've got like the joy molecules circling around, that's got to make it even better, right?
Sure.
Okay, so we've got Peter Yigan, who is watching us live, who wrote, "Thank you for the insightful discussion. I appreciate the way you're highlighting the intersection of community engagement, strategic philanthropy, and sustainable impact." because philanthropy it's collaboration. It's like goals. We're not here on our own, but especially now in challenging times where, yes, if you could give money, great, but that's not necessarily what is doable for most people. So what are things you can recommend others do, including but not limited to donations that are great, that can put the fun in let's put the fun in philanthropy. Rick, what is a good philanthropy activity?
Food Forward started as an all volunteer effort. There was it was 2 years till we hired our first employee, and I didn't come on even as a paid executive director part-time till well into that third year. And so it was a bunch of people that wanted to do something different. And for the folks that are tied to Southern California, an orange tree is we're almost blind to them because they're in literally a million backyards have citrus trees. And many of those now are decades old and give off way more fruit than we could ever have imagined or use. And it was just literally, at that time, we had a thing called Craigslist that was pretty active for volunteer engagement. We put up, flyers at Starbucks. It was the very beginning of social media. And we just found people who wanted, as they said, to be the change that they wanted to see and do something different than necessarily, the good stuff of like packing a box of canned goods at a food bank. They wanted a more hands-on and a more nutritious way of reaching people with giving. And so we had at that point just this kind of magnet for people that were in the food scene, that were in the environmental scene, that wanted to come out with their kids and show them, no, oranges don't grow in a supermarket, they grow on a tree. And this is how it all works. And to this day, we now still do about 2,000 backyard harvests and farmers market recovery events. We're at about 20 markets every week with a team of gleaners. And that is a volunteer powered effort that we could not do with an incredible core of about 4,000 volunteers every year. And so whether you want to lead once a month or you want to just show up for 2 hours once and call it a day, we welcome that. And foodforward.org is the place to sign up for that. And in a beautiful way, many of those people do go on to be financial donors, where they give us $50 or they give us 5,000. They understand that virtuous circle that our work represents and want to be tied into it. So to me, volunteering in that way. Also at a high level, we have board members who I'll be seeing in the next hour to do, strat planning for the next 3 years. They're unpaid volunteers. Serving on a board or an advisory panel for a nonprofit is an amazing way to give back, because I think it's not a one-off event that's 2 hours long, but it's a deep commitment. You get to meet and learn and work with and nurture and mentor the staff, but you also get to be an ambassador in a very unique way in the community at a higher level where you open your network. And so I think there's that one-off volunteering, but I also think board commitment is a huge and important way to harness folks' deeper commitments.
That's great. And I know, I happen to know Genna does a lot of that board activity as well. For those who don't live in SoCal, are there organizations similar to yours where people can start harvesting fruit?
Oh my God, there is now I think it's the National Association of Gleaners. We have it listed on our website under like the Learn More menu, but there's like 200 groups now. We were one of the earliest ones, and we have this really great program that we started. So I talked about the backyard harvesting and then the farmers market. We're at about 20 markets now. And what we realized is it's not always about expanding what you do, but it's inspiring others to do the same, right? And in our case, our mission includes that phrase. And to put that into practice, this year we began a farmers market mentoring program where we adopted 2 farmers markets on the East Coast. Basically, it's 2 nonprofits that wanted to learn our work and how to do it. On the East Coast, you have a more seasonal approach to farmers markets. And so we are committed to kind of mentoring nonprofits that want to do a gleaning program like us. We have all of our kind of handbooks on our website, open source. We think that's the way to go. There's no reason why someone should have to pay to learn how to pick an orange and give it to someone in need. It's kind of a, let's call it a biblical thing. If you go back to the book of Ruth, it's there. So it should be here, right? Maybe we do it with a few more clicks and beeps and boops on our phone to make sure that you've got a release and a map to the location and all that fun stuff, and that you're thanked afterwards. But the act of gleaning, as we call it, and it has been called, is centuries old. And I think helping folks that want to do that. I remember mentoring a group of young high school girls in Hawaii who were seeing mangoes and papayas and other tropical fruits that grow in abundance in the Honolulu area go to waste. And they didn't want to do that. And they heard about us through a friend of mine who lives in Hawaii. And we spent a few sessions just mentoring them to create a gleaning group. And it was just incredibly rewarding because, you start one of these things and every year that fruit's back, right? So it's not like one of those things where you have to manufacture. Nature gives us this incredible gift every season. And it's up to us to be that deliverer of goodness. And I think that's why my staff and our volunteers are so rewarded by the core work we do. You're really delivering something that's already here on earth. And that's a wonderful feeling.
Ooh, that's awesome. Look what you did. Okay. Rachel, what about you? What are some of your favorite fun-lanthropy activities?
I would say, since it hasn't been said yet, that I love gratitude. I think gratitude is a very important part of philanthropy, donor stewardship. And at this time of year with Thanksgiving just a few days away, it's a great time to say thank you to your board members, to your donors, to your volunteers, and to everyone on your professional team.
Okay, so saying thank you is part of the whole philanthropy system, right?
Yes.
Okay. Genna, favorite philanthropy things to do?
Well, I think you can make it fun if it involves doing something that you really enjoy. Like a good friend of mine is an actor, and he volunteers with the Born to Act group of adults with Down syndrome, doing acting with them. I love to cook and to be around food, and I have been having a lot of fun volunteering at Shemish Farms lately, which is an organization in Malibu, part of the Shalom Institute, that provides jobs for adults with disabilities, making seasoned salts and honey and other herbs that are used for food. I've been volunteering for many years with Ronald McDonald House Charities and Camp Ronald McDonald for Good Times. And something that our family has fun doing is we all do the walk for kids every year. So we do a charity walk. Like almost every charity, or many charities, have a charity walk. It's a great fun thing that you can do with your friends or your family. They're very inexpensive usually to join in the fun. You're getting exercise. It's an hour of your time, and it's a lot of fun and a very easy way to give back.
So basically find something you love and then find a way to donate it.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
In a way, right?
That's right. You, Deb, work in publishing and books, and my mom was a teacher, right? My mother is, well, she wouldn't want me to say her age, but she's older than me, and she's a teacher, retired for 50 years. But she said, you know what, I want to give back. And so she's actually volunteering at the library teaching English to a woman who moved here from China. And guess what? They have so much fun. They have become dear friends, And it's really filling my mom's bucket of wanting to help someone, wanting to use her skills. And she really finds it fun teaching reading, but also the camaraderie of doing this work as a volunteer has really given my mother a very dear friend. So I think, and that's what I have found with my work at Camp Ronald McDonald for Good Times and my work at Shemish Farms, and with Operation Smile, the people that I have worked with along the way are truly my dear friends. And it's a really wonderful opportunity. It's a really wonderful benefit, I should say. My friend Marlene Sharp does a lot of work with in the autism space, and she and I volunteer together. Whether it's singing karaoke or helping find jobs for adults on the autism spectrum. There is I was working with a karaoke company and was lucky enough to have karaoke machines to donate. I went to a school that was teaching young adults with autism animation. And guess what? We had a karaoke party. And the woman who runs the school said to me, Genna, some of these students literally are nonverbal. They don't speak to each other. They are very uncomfortable socializing. Not all of them, not all people with autism. I'm just saying this group, and this teacher gave me this feedback. But every Friday they have a karaoke party and connecting through music. It brings them joy. It brings them out of their shell. They're able to sing like rock stars, and it could really be life changing. So, again, it comes back to like I had the karaoke machine as an asset and saw a need through a connection, which was my friend Marlene Sharp, and boom, you're changing the world.
And it sounds really simple, but guess what? It's really simple, right?
It is. Yeah, you just have to be eyes wide open and like lean into your ideas and your intuition, because intuition's actually your learned experience. And so sometimes people have ideas about things and they don't realize they're, second guess themselves of like, should I really do this? Do they need it? Or, I'm sure they're too busy to have a karaoke party, but guess what? Now it's like the thing that they all look forward to on Fridays.
That's really awesome. And it brings in the community, the resources. It brings in every single thing that we're talking about. Rachel, Rick, do you have other creative ideas where people can just kind of embrace their inner philanthropist / community do-gooder? Oh, they're thinking. Rachel.
I would say kindness. I think just simple things. Never underestimate how powerful it can be to smile at somebody who you see and say hello genuinely, because you don't know what other people are going through. And just a friendly smile or a hello to a stranger goes a very long way. I also think voting, being an activist, speaking up when you see things in your community, speak up, say things. If you see a need, what can you do to fix it? If you have a passion, embrace it. And the other thing is, don't be afraid to try something new. I think, what was said before is like, oh, this is a new idea. Will karaoke work? Won't it? I don't know. But try it. Don't be afraid to take risks.
Yeah, I love that, Rachel. I think one of the things, and it was bubbled up during COVID, was the idea of spending a day smiling at everyone you don't know. I'm not like an obnoxious, creepy smile, right? just to like make eye contact and greet them with a smile. It's surprising, it's disarming, it's free, and I think it really it offsets the day that could also otherwise be just filled with chores and people being grinded down. And it's a very simple human thing to do. I've also, this is not a philanthropy thing, but it's just a habit I've taken to, especially right now, where it just seems we're doing so much either online or with an individual on a phone call that we may not know, like a support line. I don't care if it's the phone company or health insurance. I will start the call. I will stop, what they usually like, what's your name, date of birth? They go right into the business. And I take a breath and I'm like, hi, Amanda, how's your day going? And it is so disarming to them to be asked a human question that often there's this like 6-second pause while they gather their thoughts and, oh, wait a minute, I'm not talking to AI. I'm not talking to some nasty person that wants to bite my head off. And invariably the conversation, no matter where it ends, it just goes more smoothly because you've actually taken a moment kind of in the note of gratitude and you've actually shown a little bit of concern and curiosity about who they are and how their day has been. So I think that goes a long way. It's just a basic, I can't say do it all the time, but I try to make that my default now when I get on the phone, especially when it's like one of those 800 numbers where you've got to make the call, even like, your cable company, whatever it is, just start at that place.
Yeah, well, there is something to be said for being human. We can talk about AI all we want, the good, the bad, the ugly, but there is no substitute, that was the word I was looking for real live human interaction. And just as, and Jenna's heard me say this a lot because we end up going to events together, just as I tell my would-be nonfiction authors, you don't know who needs to hear your story, write your book. You don't know who needs a kind word or a smile. You have absolutely no idea what's going on in everybody else's lives, especially in the cuckoo bananas world that we're living in. The whole common courtesy of a hi, how are you, being kind, less common, more important than ever.
Yeah.
And so because Rick has the aforementioned board meeting coming up and is going to have to bow out early, we are going to go into gifting goals a bit earlier than normal. So Rick, Genna, Rachel, what goal do you want to gift to whoever's tuning in? What can they do today, tomorrow, immediately to get a little bit better or more into the whole giving mindset? Rick?
Gosh.
You know I was going to go to you first.
I know, I'm sorry. I do think taking something that you value, it probably shouldn't be the thing you value the most, like your grandmother's engagement ring. But maybe it's that jacket that your brother gave you that you like to wear, but you don't wear it enough. I think finding something of value this season and actually gifting it to someone who has a need for it. And it may be someone you know, it may be someone you don't. And I don't think you have to make a whole production out of it, but taking something that has a value for you and transferring that to someone else, again, without any expectation of reciprocity, maybe not even a thank you, because it could be that it's a winter coat and it's going to a winter coat collection. But you've worn that winter coat, it's done you well, but it could probably do somebody else well or better. I think that kind of, it may, you'd be reluctant to do it because you get a little maybe serotonin hit when you look at that coat in your closet. And over the years, there's some sentimental value to it, but you haven't put it on in 2-3 years, right? Let's loosen up some of that. Let's get rid of some of that. It's mine, I need it. It becomes a catalog of things where that memory is always going to be with you, but that item could very likely have another life with somebody else.
Ooh, that's good. Okay, Rachel, what goal are you gifting?
I am just mindful, looking at the incredible professionals on this call, that all of us probably have incredible mentors who have been such gifts in our lives and really helped us as we navigated our professional careers. So I think we can all pay that forward and really think about who are the people who could benefit from some of the wisdom that we can share and pay that forward.
Ooh, become a mentor. That's a good goal. And perhaps you're already mentoring people and having mentors, but that's always good it's good practice to, I don't want to say train the next generation, but in the same way that Rick's talking about what is an item that you value that you could pay forward, what is knowledge that you could pay forward? Okay, that works for me. Genna?
I love both of those. I would say a goal for this holiday season could be to set intention, and to set intention around giving and helping others. So, like under my name, it says Changemaker CEO. When I was turning 50, I got a tattoo that says Be the Change. I just wanted to look down at it every day and like remind myself that it's my intention to notice things, to be the change, to help others. And I'm not saying go get a tattoo, but I think if you set intention that you just want to be eyes wide open to notice others who might be in need and like little things that you can do, it really could make a very big difference.
Awesome. I love that. Okay, so Rick, because you're going to have to go soon, I'm going to ask you to share where people can learn more about you and share your final thought, and then we will back up to Genna and Rachel.
All right. Well, first, thank you, Debra, for having me, and Rachel and Genna. It's so nice to meet you both, and really appreciate the conversation and being part of it. So thank you. People can learn more about us at foodforward.org. It was at my cry on there. And it's, again, an organization that benefits Los Angeles and surrounding counties, very much about that idea of sharing abundance. And this time of year, sharing abundance financially means a lot to us. It's the end of year fundraising season. And at the same time, if your currency is time, then we'd love to have you volunteer with us as well, or both, right? Why stop at one? And again, it's, an organization that's having great impact at this crazy time around SNAP benefits, around unemployment, around ICE raids. We are there for over 250 agencies day in and day out, and making sure people have a fresh, free pipeline to produce. And that's who we are, what we do, and how to find us, foodforward.org.
And I love that you were one of the early people to do this thing, and that this trend has caught on. So pretty much, maybe not necessarily in the winter, but pretty much wherever you are.
Oh, we started in the winter. Our first harvest was January 17th, 2009. And that
I mean winter people like Rachel who live
right
on coasts where they actually have winter.
I hear you. No, but for those in SoCal, this is our busiest volunteer season coming up, because citrus in the winter is where it's at. All those green and yellow oranges turn orange, grapefruits come in, and the citrus is with us from about December through May. And then, the heat kicks in and it's a different story. But yeah, it's ironically, it started in that time where our 50-degree winter was, upon us. I'm going to drop off here, but thank you all. And thank you so much again, Debra, for your time and continued interest and support of Food Forward.
Of course. Thank you for being here. And I see Genna and I taking a field trip together to Food Forward.
That sounds great. We'd love to have you out. Take care.
I love that.
Thank
Happy holidays.
you, Rick.
Happy holidays.
Okay. Genna, Rachel. Let's talk about Rick. No, I'm kidding. Where can Rachel, where can people learn more about you?
Yeah, you can go to myzuzah.org. And what we do is we put a kosher fair trade mezuzah on the front door of every Jewish home globally. So to date, we're in 74 countries, over 22,000 mezuzahs placed. And it's really a wonderful way to show pride in Jewish identity. And during these, we've talked about cuckoo banana times. When
that's the technical term.
It is cuckoo banana times. It is a technical term. If you want to be an ally and friend to the Jewish community, MyZuzah can also talk with you about ways that you can show allyship. So that's another great thing we'd love to talk with you about.
Awesome. And we met, so both Genna and Rick have been on Taste Buds. We met because I wrote about you as our Mensch of the Month for J Living. So, all about the doing the good, because we're here. Why wouldn't we, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Genna, where can people learn more about you?
Well, my company has a website. My company is GennComm with a G, GennComm.com. And there's lots of information about GennComm and me and my team and the work we do and firing on a lot of different cylinders. So that's a good place. Or you guys can find me on LinkedIn. I'm quite active there and try to talk a lot about social impact and how people can help others there.
Wonderful. And I am at the Deb Method everywhere. And if you go to thedebmethod.com/blog, you can watch the replays, get the recaps, get everybody's website, but also their LinkedIn links, as well as their goals. And I am live every Monday at 4 p.m. Pacific on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And you can also subscribe to GoalChat, and also Taste Buds with Deb, and also the Book Proposal Podcast, and also the MPN Meta Marketing Show. I do a lot of shows. So most of which, all except for Taste Buzz, on the Marketing Podcast Network. But, start with finding me on GoalChat and subscribing there to get your weekly dose of inspiration and motivation. Oh, and yes, if you need extra help with your goals, you can grab a copy of your goal guide and or 52 secrets for goal setting and goal getting at your favorite place to buy books. What final thought, Genna, Rachel, do you want to leave people with today? Rachel, final thought?
I just want to say thank you for tuning in. And this holiday season, take the time to think about those who might need it, be it a smile, a friendly hello, or needs you can help to address in the world through your time, your talent, your connections, and also take time for yourself as well. Happy holidays, and thank you, Deb.
Thank you so much. That's a good one. Okay, Genna, beat that. Your turn.
Last year, I was in the market on Thanksgiving, and I shared out that my family was going to be sharing with our guests about that organization I mentioned to you, Shemish Farms and Camp Ronald McDonald for Good Times. And so I guess my idea is share an idea that you have with someone else, because maybe it could inspire them to do something or be the change or make an impression or brighten up someone else's day. And so, yeah, share a bright idea with someone else and encourage them to share that with someone else.
I think that's really a big key and part of why I love having these conversations. So every week I bring together 3 people, and unless it's on purpose, they don't know each other. And today it was 3 people who I knew as change makers, very big into social impact. And I'm like, okay, they need to know each other, because you never know. It's the community aspect, right? You never know who's going to spark what information in each other. So I want to ask Genna, what is your big takeaway from Rachel? And Rachel, what is your big takeaway from Genna?
Well, I love that you were inspired as a child to cold call through the Jewish Federation. That's amazing. That's such an important skill. And I think it's really something that, as a communication executive myself, I want to have my kids cold call someone and try to get something, because I think kids are a bit afraid to pick up the phone and call places now, right? Because we're texting, we're emailing, they don't have landlines. And I love that you did that, and it really set you on a path for your life to utilize both the connection to the Jewish charity and also, understand the power of picking up the phone and calling someone and using your voice to influence them in a positive way. I love that.
Thank you. I love that you continually see needs in the world and you're not afraid to take risks or try new things to address them. I think that's incredibly admirable.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
And they had no idea I was going to ask this. I was just because a lot of these conversations, they're very yes and. So I tend to, well, when I was gathering people to interview for 52 Secrets, most of them, all but maybe 10, I did via, some were done by email, but most of these were conversations I had with people. And I said, do you know other people who need to be in the book? The only requirement is they need to have a giving spirit and people I'd be friends with. And I said this maybe 20 times when I realized that that is the same person. You know, we elevate each other. As I said before, you can't reach your goals on your own. You need your people. You want to do good in the world, surround yourself with good, because the inspiration will it just grows when you're around your people. Yeah. Anyway.
Can I add also, like, about you, Deb? I mean, I think something that you do that's really been inspiring me is this, like, getting your village together in many different formats to talk, to masterfully combine what you're passionate about, which is, you know, utilize connections, giving. I mean, I know this shows topics about giving, but really many of your shows and much of what you do is really centered around that, with lots of different related themes. And you're so great at doing that. So thank you for bringing us in to give, you know, the opportunity to talk about this. It's wonderful.
Well, thank you. And I do say this is my favorite form of networking. So if I haven't seen someone in a while, I'm like, oh, okay, come be on the show. Or if it's a new friend doing something interesting, okay, come be on the show. Or it's just, you guys need to meet each other. Let's put the band together. So this is definitely a joy, because I get to hang out with cool people and introduce them to one another. So that is, let's make that a bonus goal, is to find 2 people who you know, who you believe need to meet, and make an introduction. Having nothing to do with giving, but everything to do with giving. Thank you. Thank you again, Rachel Berezin, Genna Rosenberg. I keep wanting to call you Genna Goldberg. Genna Goldberg Rosenberg. And Rick Nahmias for joining me. Thank you for tuning in. It's the season. So do some good, because guess what? It's going to do good for them. But even more, it's going to make you feel awesome. So happy Thanksgiving all. Be well. Go do some giving. Go for it, because we know you can do it.